Ladies and gentlemen, Goyim and Jews, welcome to the show. Today we're talking about all things going on in the Epstein files, because that is literally the only thing that people can talk about these days, apparently. But before I do, let me tell you a quick story. I got this coffee. I went to the coffee bar, and lo and behold, a babysitter that used to work me apparently got a job there at this coffee place. Seems like she was fired from her last job, and she was fired as my babysitter after we discovered that she was stealing. We went on a trip and we left our kids with her, and I left $300 in my closet, and I said, hey, if you need some cash, there's a little bit over here just in case, for emergencies. And when we got back, it was gone. And what did the babysitter say? Oh, I think my son, who's 4 years old, took it. He went in the closet. Maybe he took the $300 and didn't touch anything else except for $300, which I told you exactly where it was. You sick son of a bitch! I know what you did. So, why don't you just shut up and make me a coffee, and don't ask me how my children are? Should I ask you about your child? If he's still stealing from people? It wasn't your child, it was you. Gosh dang. Have you ever had a babysitter steal from you? Probably not, because you don't have any children, you childless goy. Anyway, a lot of stuff happening in the world of cryptocurrency last week. BlackRock announced that they would be buying up some Uni token and enabling DeFi swaps. Finally, the institutions have arrived, and how did the price react? A nice little pump and dump. But of course, what else could you expect from cryptocurrency? The world's greatest, largest capital allocator buying up your Uni token, and what do you think that the price does? Goes to zero. Of course. That is just the way of the world. And speaking of going to zero, other than Hayden's hair on his head, sorry, that's a bad joke. But Mossad, one of my angel investment bags, seems like there's a little trouble in paradise. And I don't exactly know what is going on over there, but in quick succession, some large players within the Mossad institutional hierarchy have left. Intern, who was actually a large part of why I invested, because Intern, you may have seen him online. He's a penguin. But I believe that he is a smart man. He is very good, I think, at community building. I think that he has a good head on his shoulders. And I was very disappointed to see him leave 3 months after the TGE. Now, I don't know what is happening internally at Mossad, but it's a little bit of a shame. A little bit of a shame that right after the token comes out, it's time to dip and rip, as they say. And yesterday, or 2 days ago, by the way, happy President's Day. I don't even know what President's Day is, but when Trump is the president, every day is President's Day. But regardless, we had Abdul, the head of Mossad DeFi, which, again, Mossad DeFi, that's a little bit of an oxymoron, you know what I'm saying? It's like the head of Mossad meme coins. The Mossad DeFi head, also Abdul. Now, Abdul is not someone I necessarily know or cared about, but apparently he had a big role within Mossad, and he got burnt out 3 months after the chain launched. Listen. I understand a burnout, but 3 months, That's quite the burn rate. You know what I'm saying? That's quite the burn. Must be hotter than the sun over at Monad. But the main reason I invested in Monad was because Kobe invested. No. Okay, maybe yes. But I bought his bags. But Keone is a very smart man. He is a very intelligent individual. Now, I trust him and his co-founder, Jay Husker, or whatever his name is, to, make sure that things don't go to shit. Now, at the end of the day, my neighbors are pointing at me and making faces, which I truly believe is not what I'd like to see from them, because those neighbors are slightly anti-Semitic, if you will. Not gonna name names, but you see them. They didn't want us to put up a sukkah. Do you know what a sukkah is? It's a little tent, a little place for, a Jewish holiday. And they said that it would be a liability, And now I see that their child is running around in the street with cars. Not great parenting, if I may say so myself. As a parent, I make sure that my children don't run in the street, and I have a huge fear of anything bad happening to them, which you probably can relate to. Never mind. You're a childless goy. I forgot. Don't worry. But where was I? On the topic of Monad, yes, so Abdul and Keone. Keone, he's a smart guy. Former jump man. He knows what he's doing. And I believe that there will be more tricks. But right now, there's not a lot of app development, new applications, exciting applications that are happening on Monad. Now, maybe I'm just being a little harsh because they do have some Uniswap forks on there, which of course is the basis for any DeFi Lego building block. But maybe not. But I believe that they have deep relationships with institutions, and you could see this by their Coinbase ICO. There hasn't been any other Coinbase ICOs that I know of. And Brian Armstrong wouldn't just randomly put up a coin for an ICO. There has to be a reason, and that reason is hopefully to pump my bags. I'm praying. But at the end of the day, I think that we're in a bear market, and this is the time that you want to be building, you want to be executing, that you want to start developing your ecosystem. You don't want to launch at the beginning of the bull market in the peak of the bull market or whatever, because you may have a little pumperoonie, but it's not going to be sustained and people are going to get burnt out about it. But if you launch in the depths of the bear, which, if you remember, Solana did. Solana launched in the depths of the bear. And who but SBF brought them into, their major, who was their major investor? SBF, of course. Who will get to SBF, who's been on a little bit of a tear lately. But this is a good time to build. Maybe it'll be a little harder to build now that there's no head of DeFi, but I believe that they are making changes. They're hiring new people. They're doing an AI bot competition because that's what Monad is built for, AI agents apparently. And every single person who's in crypto is pivoting to AI. Makes sense. People actually care about AI and they don't think it's a scam. unlike crypto, literally every person in the world thinks that crypto is a scam. Really. Like, any normie, there was just like the Claudebot AI guy on Lex. I didn't even watch the clip, but I just saw him saying that crypto's a scam. And now he got hired by OpenAI. So that just tells you the entire story right there in a little nutshell. I also saw, by the way, speaking of Coinbase, they did a sale of an Acura NSX with Cars and Bids. I love Cars and Bids. Doug DeMuro is the man. He's amazing. I strive to be like Doug. But they did a sale of an Acura NSX with USDC. I believe it sold for around $80,000. A good deal for the buyer. But literally every comment under the YouTube short or video talking about this Acura NSX was, "Oh, you guys sold out. You guys are using crypto. You guys are, another crypto scam." When literally the only crypto thing was USDC, which is perhaps the least scammy thing in all of crypto. Now, do I expect normies to discern between what's a scam and, yes, 99% of crypto is a scam, including mossad, perhaps? No, it's not a scam. It's not a scam. It's going to it's going to $100. Please. Excuse me. Allow me to drink from my. It's going to $100. But yeah. It's pretty low sentiment out there, which, like, is pretty hilarious, given the fact that, you know what a scam is? You know, fiat is a scam. You know, the stock market is a scam run by Nancy Pelosi and her insider trading cohorts. That's a scam, because there's no insider trading in cryptocurrency. It's all on chain. It's all on chain. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, where was I? Building in the bear. I believe that now's a good time to build, and on that note, we can talk about one of my other investment bags, megaeth, who actually is somehow attracting new and exciting innovative applications, one of which I've invested in, Euphoria, which is now hosting a tapathon. And what does that mean? It means you can play a gambling version of Flappy Bird, basically, where you tap on the screen, and if you hit the square, if your little thing, if you hit the price, then what? You get a payout. You get a payout. It's like trading options in a gamified format now. We are moving toward a gambling world. The biggest crypto applications in the world are Polymarket and Kalshi. And what are those? Gambling applications. They are sports books on chain, essentially. And they also run grocery stores. Why? For money laundering. Okay? That's really what it's about. But let's not get into that. I think that as we move toward a more AI-driven society, what are we going to be doing with our time? Hopefully, we'll get a universal basic income or a universal high income, as Elon, our AI overlord, likes to say. But what will the humans be left to do? They will be left to tap away on their Euphoria applications, trying to gamble their way into the upper society so they can be invited to the Epstein parties, which is where we all want to get to at the end of the day. I mean, if you're not invited to an Epstein party, then who the fuck are you anyway? just some loser, some childless goy, which I'm not. But anyway, speaking of Epstein parties, as part of my research into this topic, I watched a movie called Eyes Wide Shut. And you may or may not have seen this movie. It's from 1999, when I was a mere child. But it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. And a lot of people talk about it in relation to Epstein and, elites and all this kind of stuff. So I decided to watch the movie, and I'm glad I did. It was a great movie. Now, first of all, there's a lot of tits. There's a lot of nudity. So I do not recommend this for your family movie night. But you don't have children anyway, so don't worry about that. But it was a movie which they really don't make that type of movie anymore. It was very slow. Not a lot happens, I would say. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of type moments, which, again, I'm good with that. I enjoyed that. I thought that it's nice to kind of get away from the algorithmic AI generated type of content that we see, on the daily. Not that it's bad necessarily, but it's like anxiety inducing in not the greatest way. Whenever I feel like I open social media and I'm just not doing enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not making enough money. I don't have enough views. My penis is too small. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of nice to get away from that mentality and get into something a little from a different era. And even though it was only 25 years ago, 25 years is a long time, especially with the accelerated timeline that we're living in. So I really enjoyed this movie, and I recommend you watching it if you want to. I mean, if you'd like. But I watched it, in stages, because again, who has time these days to sit down for a 2.5-hour movie? No one, especially with children. But I thought that it was really interesting. Now, the main part of the movie, which everyone talks about, and I feel, of course, was the main part of the movie, was this party that Tom Cruise sneaks into. He gets into this party, and everyone is wearing a costume. Everyone is wearing a mask. They're doing some weird rituals, and he is certainly not supposed to be there. He's not supposed to see the stuff that is going on. And the amount of discomfort that I felt watching that was really great. Like a good discomfort, meaning like, oh my God, this is not, you gotta get out of here, brah. You can't be in here. Now, this, of course, is what everyone talks about when they say this is what Epstein was like, the Epstein parties. And it gives you a really great sense of that, because in this movie, Tom Cruise is he's an elite guy himself. He's very rich. He's a well-to-do doctor. But when he gets to this party, he realizes that there is another level of wealth, of power, that he is just not privy to. It's something that is secret, above, and all these things. And, he gets caught, basically. They notice, even though everyone's masked, they know that he's not supposed to be there. And essentially, they drag him in for a kind of a trial type thing. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, it's 25 years old, so tough shit. But regardless, and then at the end of the movie, he gets invited to another elite guy's house who's like very well, even wealthy, who's on another level, who's part of this, Eyes Wide Shut party group. And he's like, you don't even understand the type of people that were there. Like, you don't know. If I told you the people that were there, you would be sick. You know what I'm saying? And then this guy tells him that, oh, it was just all a play. It was all a joke. It was just to scare you. Like, come on, bruh. This is not a joke. This is not a game. There are real parties that happen like this all around us. Now, are these guys like controlling the world at these parties? I don't fucking know. They could just be buffoons, running around in costumes trying to look all cool. And it's just the equivalent of some sort of elevated frat party. But for sure, as seen by Alex Jones, they do these type of things. And Alex Jones took a video in Bohemian Grove doing a worship of some owl god, the cremation of care, whatever that is. And again, they will tell you, it's just a play, it's just a joke, it's just a game. But still, there is a lot of power in that ritual. Even if people half believe it or they don't believe it, it is still a type of religion. Because I grew up religious. If you, even if you don't necessarily believe in the ceremony, you get swept up in the ceremony. So there is a lot of power in that, and there is a lot of, there's something there. And so I was at a bar with my wife the other day after I was discussing the movie, and she was like, oh, this stuff doesn't happen. And then I showed her the video of Alex Jones, who literally recorded it in Bohemian Grove in California. And then she asked the bartender, oh, you think they do these type of parties? And he's like, yeah, for sure they do these type of parties. And then there was a woman who just comes and sit next to us. And my wife, she talks to everyone. She's a realtor, so if you're looking for real estate in Miami, like Mark Zuckerberg, then, hit me up. But regardless, she was like, oh, do you think they have these weird parties, anywhere? And this lady was like, oh, yeah, the captain of my yacht club is getting a divorce for his wife because they were doing ritual parties with masks and things. And by the way, we said nothing about masks. And she said the word masks on her own. These things exist. And do you want to be invited? No. You don't want to be invited. You don't want to be involved with these people because there is a depravity going on. Depravity that we cannot comprehend and that we do not want to be privy to. Now, does that mean that we should bury our heads in the sand and pretend that these things don't happen? Well, no, they happen. But do I need to witness them? I don't think so. I don't need to watch as some orgy mask party is going on, okay? I can watch that on Pornhub, okay, if I really want. I don't need to be there. I don't need to watch midgets running around naked with their balls dangling out. You know what I'm saying? That's not for me. That's maybe for some. Now again, is that illegal? No. Is that immoral? I don't know. But if they start doing some shady business dealings as part of this, that's where the gray area starts to begin. If BB has hired Epstein to blackmail, no, This is everyone's favorite topic. Epstein is Mossad. Epstein was hired by Israel. He's still alive. He's living in Israel because his World of Warcraft account was logged into in Tel Aviv. Enough with this Jew. I don't want to hear any more about the Jews. You know what Epstein was? He was CIA. He was fucking American, okay? He wasn't right. Oh, he was Mossad. Yeah, you know who says that? CIA agents say that he was Mossad. Shut up! He was just CIA. Okay, listen. You know who was Mossad? Me. This guy. I was Mossad. You probably don't know this, but I was accepted into Israeli intelligence. Yes, no jokes. I went to do the tests for the Modi'in. It's called Modi'in is intelligence in Hebrew. You don't speak Hebrew. But I'm telling you, I went and I did these tests and I got accepted. I ultimately didn't go, but that's what a Mossad agent would tell you, right? But it is what it is. Another, speaking of Mossad, another corrupt organization. Well, I don't know if Mossad's corrupt. Another corrupt organization, KarateCombat, which of course I used to be associated with. Somehow, they continue to hold events like nothing ever happened. And let me briefly remind you that they're scammers. They don't pay people. But somehow, they continue to hold events and get people to buy in. Big names, big names. Now, I will admit that their latest event had some extremely mimetic fights. They had a guy, and look, this is real. They had a guy with no legs wrestle against the guy with legs. Okay, now that's hilarious. I'm not gonna lie, that is next level. But I really hope that they paid the man with no legs, because they seem to be taking advantage of those now with disabilities as well. Not only mental disabilities like myself, but physical disabilities, because the way that KarateCombat operates is that they pay you, they pay until they don't, and they're like, oh, we'll pay you next time, we'll pay you this, we'll pay you. It's like a Ponzi. It's like a Ponzi. They get you to buy in, they give you a little bit of return, but then all of a sudden, the payments start not coming. Oh, we're gonna get the money. The money's coming. Blah, blah, blah. Shut up. 0. Send it to fucking 0, okay? Anyway, just a quick update on my production, 1000X production, the Max Extractor, which I'll have another call with the production team later today. We are already working on, well, they're working on it. They're working on the casting, on the locations. We had someone in mind to be the lead role, but unfortunately, he was too cool. He was, I'm filming with Brad Pitt on a new Vanilla Sky. Shut up, idiot! Get the hell out of here. Regardless, things are moving along, which I'm quite pleased, and I'm very looking forward to sharing with y'all this high production, this interesting, this funny show, which I have worked on for the better part of a year, almost a year at this point, which is a long time. So I'm hoping that this will come to fruition soon. They sent me locations for a lot of the scenes already, and it looks great. Likely we're going to be shooting in Los Angeles, the city of angels, where they hold Diddy parties. Not the location won't be on the Diddy party, but in general, that's where they have Diddy parties. You know what I'm saying? I've never been to a Diddy party. Or have I? Anyway, I think that pretty much wraps up the show for today. I really appreciate you watching, listening. Please let me know any topics, any questions, any concerns, and I would be happy to address them for you. Jewish, non-Jewish, any questions about the Talmud? I've studied quite a bit of Talmud in my day. And let me tell you, it's interesting. It is interesting. One little tidbit from the Talmud that nobody talks about. They say in the Talmud that if you want to see a demon, you should sprinkle sand around your bed. And then when you wake up in the morning, there will be prints of a chicken feet in the sand. And that is the demon that has come to visit with you. And on that note, have a good night.